Hello, well, this is House of Mirrors Reviews here, ready for today's special video. I'm sure you know I've talked about quite a number of video games on this channel, and I'm an avid gamer and I have a lot of fun, and I feel like I wanted to do something extra. I want to revisit some of these games and talk about their DLC campaigns. Well, the DLC, I should say. Yeah, I figured it's time I talk about some of them in depth, and yeah, it just felt like now's the right time. I've done this channel for so long that I felt comfortable, you know, going back and revisiting some stuff I've done and talk about some of the DLC that I've. But and in total, we now obviously. So I figured we might as well get started. Now, obviously, I'm not going to talk about every video game in particular that I've done on this channel again, and So I went through so I went through all my reviews, and in the end, I found a group of them that I feel like I can talk enough deeply about the DLC stuff, and that I can do. And in the end, I've of all my video game reviews, I found 9 that I can do. Yep, 9. And here they are. These are the 9 video games I'm going to revisit and talk about the DLC in depth from my own personal opinion. With that said, I should mention that some of these games in particular, the updates in particular were more free updates and weren't paid DLC, but I feel like I can talk in depth about them because, well, I have personal attachment to these games, so I feel like I can at least go into it. I should also mention I'm only going to talk about paid content in particular that I've played at the very least. There are some of these games I have well, okay, there's a few of them that I haven't actually purchased all the DLC in general with them. I only purchased a few of them. It's just I didn't feel like going all the way with them, and especially when it comes to games that are pretty huge in size, I feel like I just didn't have the energy to go through them again. I'm sure you're also wondering why I'm not talking about certain other games in particular I have done, and I just don't feel like touching them again. I should mention with stuff like Animal Crossing, New Horizons. Well, I have obviously got all the free updates with them. They're not enough to in-depthly talk about them again, this game again. And honestly, it doesn't really change my opinion. So yeah, I can't really go on about it. For stuff like Luigi's Mansion, well, I have actually got got the DLC and played a bit of it. It's mostly all multiplayer, and I honestly I don't really spend didn't really spend much time with it, so I can't really you know go in on it and ha- discuss it as well. So yeah, that's why this can't count. For games like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 or Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, I can't talk about them because I haven't actually purchased the content. Yeah, I okay, maybe I did purchase the packs for Ultimate Alliance 3, but honestly I never played it because honestly I felt like I played enough of them and I kinda got the gist of it, and even with the additional characters and all that, I just didn't feel like it. I just didn't want to go overboard with it. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not doing that. And as for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and Multiverses, let's start with first off with Smash Ultimate. I am going to talk about revisit this game eventually, but it's actually going to be more of its own individual thing, and it might actually be more of a series. I just got to confirm it. I'm going to potentially do it with someone in particular, so I want to save that for later. And Multiverses, well, yes, new stuff has come out. It's not enough for me to go over to continue talk to go back and talk about it. I still can't do it. I just want the full complete game, and even though there's been new features added, like some single player stuff and all that, and of course new characters and stages, I still can't go back and do it. It just doesn't seem right to me. Also, I'm not going to show footage for every video game I play here. I'm just going to show it for a few. It's just when I feel like I can get away with it and talk about in depth. So with that said, let's get started. Oh, and I also forgot I'm not going to play any of the sound for those video games. I just don't want to get copyright claimed. It's on. I'm sure you can understand. with that said, let's get started with perhaps the first of our first game in particular revisiting Mario Tennis Aces. Now, you may remember this is actually the third. Those who've been on my channel for very long will know this was the third review I ever did on this channel. And this wasn't actually my original intention to make this the third review I ever did. I just wanted to. I had in mind to do another video game, but I ended up not doing it. So yeah, this can. But yeah, this is okay. I wanted to go back and do this. Another thing you may also remember is that for the longest time, when it came to the free updates, I would actually reveal what just got announced in my old videos. But after a while, I think towards the end of them, I just stopped. I just didn't really bother doing it and anymore. I just felt like that was enough, and yeah, I'm okay with what I do, with what I did then. But well, here we are with this one, and I'm now revisiting it. I will say I did play this a lot when it first came out, and I enjoyed it for what it was. And every new character they brought in, I was quite impressed with what they added. I mean, going over the new characters at the original characters at the time, from when the game first came out, there was about um, in total there was about 12 to 16 characters at launch. So yeah, it was packed compared to what the other Mario sports games for the Switch that came out afterwards. But with that said, the characters they added were Koopa Trooper, post-launch were Koopa Trooper, Looper, Diddy Kong, Birdo, Luma, Petey Piranha, Shy Guy, Koopa Paratrooper. When they just go Paratrooper, Boom Boom, Pauline, Kamek, and Dry Bones. So yeah, they at least added close to another half of characters, which I'm okay with that. And honestly, I enjoyed what they did. I thought bring obviously they had to bring back some of the series staples, and with Pauline now becoming more of a popular character thanks to Super Mario Odyssey, it made sense to bring her in. And honestly, I love that they added P Piranha in because he was a boss in the story mode. So yeah, that was good. Actually, I should mention that with Adventure Mode, they actually added an additional opening cutscene where they rehashed some of the lines from Mario Power Tennis's opening for it showing Wario and Waluigi when they found the demonic tennis racket. And I didn't really like it that much. I just couldn't really see any reason why they would add that in. Yeah, so that's what I thought of that. And I mean, unfortunately, no, they didn't add any additional any additional courts. Well, not that I'm aware of. If they did, that's great. Let me know about it. But I didn't remember anything. It was just how I felt. So yeah. But overall, they did at least add an additional amount of content, and I'm impressed with that. So you know, nowadays I'm pretty sure you can get it fine, and the content will be downloaded onto your copy. But I don't know how many people play this now. After I stopped, after the final character update, I don't think many people played it as much. So yeah. Mm. Though yet again, I was pleased to say that even from my original review, that they at least fixed majority of the problems from Ultra Smash. For the biggest problem with Ultra Smash for the Wii U was the lack of content. So yeah, overall, it was fine. It could have been better. That's just what I think. Okay, now the next video game I'm going straight towards was one of my first videos for 2019. It's time we revisit Batman Arkham Knight. Okay, so this is when I said I didn't download every DLC campaign for or stuff with games. This is one of the main ones in particular. Because as you can see, when it came to the additional side stories, I only really bothered with two. In fact, one was actually a pre-order an additional purchase, additional inclusion with the perk when I first bought this game, and that was the Harley Quinn story pack. Yeah, it's all right. Basically, it shows Harley. on a side mission working for Penguin, trying to break Poison Ivy out of Bloodhaven Police Department, all while facing off against Nightwing. And, in preparation for Scarecrow's attack on Gotham. And, I mean, it was fine. I mean, I like Harley Quinn enough, and I thought she was playable, and, I enjoyed what I got. She was okay. The one I did purchase for myself was the GCPD Lockdown, which is Nightwing's additional storyline after the events of the game, where when he returns to Gotham to prevent the Penguin from busting out of prison with the help of Lucius Fox. I actually found that great. He's actually one of my personal favorite DC heroes, and I always liked Dick Grayson, and I thought I played and have some fun. I enjoyed it. Of course, you're only focusing on playing on the rooftop of GCPD, and you lose a bit of finesse with it. Though the fact that it's set in daytime is all right. Though yet again, it is raining, so there's not much to say about that. Of course, the biggest thing, of course, that I bought was by far the additional storylines called the G. I forget what it's called, but it basically added four new stories to play along. Well, actually, the additional to capture four new villains in the role in the game of Arkham City in the game of Arkham. Of course, the biggest thing, of course, they added was the Season of Infamy parts, which had an additional four stories that you could tackle on at any point where you have to deal with four additional rogues who weren't originally in the main story of Batman Arkham Knight. It was basically a way just to send these characters off, considering this was meant to be the end of the series. The first story focused on the Mad Hatter capturing a couple of Gotham City police guards, and it's up to Batman to find them, following the riddles that the Hatter gives. Honestly, this was definitely the weakest of the storylines. I mean, it was fine enough, but you don't really get. It's just the story isn't fun. It's just basically a twisted episode of the Batman animated series in the '90s, in my view. The second story focused on finding team of Nightwing find Killer Croc after he was captured by a flying police well flying whatever flying prison, where you find out that Croc was being experimented on by the prison guard, well, by the head of the prison. This was alright just because of the fact you had Nightwing teaming up, and he was the only additional character you could play as during the campaign. Honestly, and it's kind of sympathetic. I always liked Killer Croc, and the fight was okay. Better than some of the other boss fights in the main game of Arkham Knight. The next storyline was actually probably the best one, which was the Mr. Freeze storyline, where the militia kidnaps Freeze's wife, her cryogenic tube, and you must team up with Freeze once again to save her. The storyline is actually pretty tragic, as you see Freeze come to terms with the fact that he can't save his wife, and both decide to live their last few days together before Nora passes away. Why was this such a great storyline? It was not. I haven't seen much. I haven't read the comics, and so I don't know if I can tell if this is the truth, if this happens. But it was actually nice to actually seeing Nora talk with Batman. So it's actually kind of nice to have that. The final storyline is perhaps actually my favorite, which was the Ra's al Ghul story, where Batman finds Ra's after what happened in Arkham City, and Ra's sends him on a quest to find another Lazarus pit to revive him. When he finds the serum, he is confronted by Rachel's second daughter, Nissa, who requests that Batman doesn't give him the serum so she can end the militia, the League of Assassins. Sorry. So that when you get to Rach, you have to make a decision: revive him and risk him coming back to Gotham, or follow Nissa and go against Batman's wish, Batman's one rule of indirectly killing someone. I honestly picked the second line where you side with Nissa, and honestly, I really found the story captivating. The choice you had to make, I really enjoyed it, and I really liked the ending. Personally, I just felt I like to see all the villains I captured locked away in 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 the GCPD, which is why I also, when I did the Azrael storyline, I made sure he got captured. He was taken to the GCPD. So yeah, sorry if that was against the main continuity, but that's how I felt. And I honestly like this story more because I got to, that ending more because I got to have every villain taken to prison. Not counting Mr. Freeze, obviously, who Batman lets escape. Of course, obviously, once you complete every storyline, you get new things to add to the evidence locker, which is all part of the same area where you had to find the Mad Hatter, when you had to go for the Mad Hatter's riddles. Honestly, I really enjoyed the season of Infamy story pack. I should mention I didn't actually complete Arkham Knight when I first played that season of Infamy story, so by that point the Joker was still technically harassing Batman, as being you know, uh, a figment of his imagination or whatever. That what happened when he inhaled Scarecrow's toxin. So I couldn't. So if you're wondering whether the Joker commentate mentions anything during those storylines, he doesn't. So you aren't missing much when you decide to play this pack. Plus, honestly, when revisiting this, it was a pleasure to hear Kevin Conroy's voice again, especially after he passed away last year. Of course, as you know, the upcoming Rocksteady's next project, which is a Suicide Squad spin-off, they revealed during the Game Awards last year that Conroy did return to voice him before his death. So fans of Conroy will get to hear him one last time as Batman in the upcoming game. Whether or not I decide to play Suicide Squad and review that is up for debate. But if I do, I'll let you know, and obviously do it next year. With that said, for what I played of the Arkham Knight DLC, I had fun, and yeah, there were some parts I didn't enjoy, but yeah, I will give credit where credit's due. I had a good time, and in my view, this definitely is the best Batman game of all time. Yeah, I even say it's better than Arkham City. I should also mention one of the reasons why I didn't get the other DLC packs is because this is actually one of the few games I've actually 100% completed. And after 100% completing the main story, I was just done. It's just me, okay? So, yeah. Okay, now number three. Time we get to one of the biggest, perhaps the biggest game among the stuff I got here. Kingdom Hearts 3. Or, thanks to the DLC that was released, we now have Kingdom Hearts 3 Rewind. Okay, so the first thing I should also address is that there was additional content released when this first came out. If you had the Xbox One, depending on what version you have the game between the Xbox One or the PS4, you could actually get an additional keyblade specific to that version. I obviously got the Xbox version, so I got that keyblade. If you also if you played a bunch of the new games that were released exclusively as promotional for Kingdom Hearts 3, Kingdom Hearts Union Cross on your phone, you could get a Starlight keyblade that you used in the mobile game. Again, I'm not going to show them. I just don't feel like it's worth the hassle. Instead, we're going to focus on what the additional thing was that they added for the DLC, which was the whole Rewind campaign. I should mention with the new tile screen, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it. I like the original of how it opened originally. I wish they have done the same thing with that opening and just show Sora and Kyrie being introduced the way they did with how Sora was introduced in the first game with how the menu opened up. But look, I'm not going to go too overboard. Let's just get on with what the main thing was they added, which was of course Remind. The whole purpose of the Remind storyline was to basically show how Sora rescues Kyrie at the end of the game after his fight against Xehanort. It was basically to wrap up some of the lingering questions from the original ending, like how Chirruphy comes out of the final world to finally see Ventus again, how Naminé is brought back to life, and a few other things as well. Um, for what it was, I mean, the story basically did give us a few answers to questions. Like, in particular, I think the biggest one was the whole lingering Terror Norton and the lingering will thing. And, I mean, at the very least, it was okay enough to justify a reason behind it. But then again, still, much like most Kingdom Hearts stories, there are some massive problems with it anyway, and questions left to be answered. The biggest thing, of course, they added was the fact that we finally got to explore Scarlet Island instead of only being limited to one area before the Xehanort fight. And honestly, I thought it was a really well designed level for what we got. And, I had fun with it. It was fun. And there is a whole new fight with Xehanort after Sora finally reunites with Kairi, so there is that to keep in mind. The other major things you got the opportunity to do was to switch between characters at certain points in the fights, like with Riku, Kairi, Aqua Ventus, I believe, and Terra. I believe Roxas and Xion were also available to be played at some point as well. I forget, it's been a while. But my favorite thing was during the final fight for the rest of the Keyblade wielders, you actually got to control as Mickey. Jeez, that was such a big surprise for me, and I was really happy with that inclusion. Another thing I should address, even though I think I may have mentioned it when I reviewed Melody of Memory in 2020, was that Root Horner, who voiced Dana in Kingdom Hearts 3, who obviously replaced Len Nimoy, who passed away in 2015, passed away shortly after before the the English translation could be done for the Remind DLC. So they had to get someone else. And instead they got in his place they managed to get Christopher Lloyd. And I'm gonna be honest, I really prefer Lloyd more than Horner. He is more like what I expect from Xehanort and more close to being the performance I got from Leonard Nimoy. I don't know. Maybe they should have had Lloyd from the beginning. But look, Horner had some good moments, especially during his when especially when he dies and he speaks with Ericus. That was fine, but I don't know. I kind of enjoy Lloyd. I've always been a Christopher Lloyd fan, so yeah, that's why I feel like he honestly had did the better interpretation of Xehanort after Nimoy. After you beat the first part, you get the second half of Remind, which I'm gonna say what was the biggest thing they got fans excited for, and you want to know why? They actually brought back the Final Fantasy characters. I mean, thank goodness. I mean, outside of the Moogle who runs the shop and the cameo of Cactuar, and I guess if you want to count outside of Final Fantasy characters, you could count that Gummership boss, which was reference to a PS1 game that Square made. You didn't really get much of that. But Nomura finally brought back the Final Fantasy characters in the form of the returning Squall, aka Leon in Kingdom Hearts, Yuffie, Aerith, and Cid. And I guess he also brought back Fairy Godmother too, but yeah. With that said, why didn't he bring back the others? Like, why couldn't he also bring back Tifa, or reference Cloud or Sephiroth, or even Zack, since he was in Birth by Sleep? And even throw in someone like Vivi or Setsu or Cypher, I don't know. Or even, I don't know, Waka, Titus, Selfie, you know, and the Ten Trio or whatever. I forget. I don't want to talk about the Ten 2 that much at the moment. And with that said, of course, in this one, you got to control a data version of Sora again, trying as the gang try to figure out what happened to him after the events of Kingdom Hearts 3. And let me start by saying this. Well, I completed the first half. I didn't complete the second half. So it was just too hard for me. Honestly, I just couldn't do it. I just stopped after I got beat 3 times by the first fight I did. If you're wondering if I'm ever going to go back and try down those additional fights and lead up to the Zora bonus extra fight at the end, I don't know. Maybe in preparation for Kingdom Hearts 4, I might do it, but I don't know. After I couldn't beat the first fight, how can I beat the rest of them? Jeez, it's just going to happen that way. I'm sorry if you want me to talk about it. I just can't. Okay, it's it's just out of my league. Especially since I've now become more into RPGs than I was back in 2019. So yeah. Okay, now let's go for a bit more of a shorter attempt, but we're still sticking with the Xbox for the last time. That is Tekken 7. And much like Arkham Knight, I didn't get everything, but there is enough for me to talk about. So let's go. And for what little I did get of the DLC for Tekken 7, along with possibly Tekken Bowl if it counts, I don't know. I have to double check on that. The characters I ended up getting were, of course, the three, unless I get it wrong, but I'm going to talk about the four that I think I really wanted to focus on. First off was obviously the additional three guest fighters, which were Geese Howard from Fatal Fury Plus, aka also King of Fighters, Noctis from Final Fantasy 15, and of course Negan from The Walking Dead. Of course, each of them came with their own stages. In in terms of Geese, we obviously got a stage from we obviously got we also got Howard Estate from Fatal Fury, which is of course his home. For for on for Noctis, we got Hammerhead, the Hammerhead petrol gas station or whatever from Final Fantasy 15. I haven't played it, so I can't really say much about it. And with Negan, it was the last day on Earth stage, which I've never watched Walking Dead, but I know it's connected to him, so yeah, okay, fine. Honestly, they played well, and I was quite impressed with what Harada-san did with them. And they were great choices in the end, and obviously made fans very excited. And of course, as an addition, I also bought Marduk, who, if Tekken fans know, he is the Australian fighter. And I mean, come on, I'm Australian, so I wanted to play that, especially since, look, yeah, if you know this is true, but if there is one, say in the comments section, prove me wrong, but there's hardly any Australian fighters in fighting games, including Street Fighter. Yes, there is Kano in Mortal Kombat, but it took a while for the Mortal Kombat developers to confirm that. But yeah, at least here with Marduk, he was the first. He was officially stated from the beginning to be Australian. So yeah, he counts, and I'm grateful for that. So yeah, but in the end, I enjoyed every character from Tekken 8 and from Tekken 7, and I'm excited to see what comes up in the future. I mean, this game in particular made me a Tekken fan. So what more can I say with that of how much I like this game? Tekken 8, of course, is obviously coming out in the near future, and I am eagerly waiting for that. For what I might expect from DLC fighters, I'm not going to really make any predictions. I mean, maybe some Yakuza, a character from Yakuza or Tifa from Final Fantasy 7 would be good, but honestly, if I'm going to get another Final Fantasy character, give me Sabin from FF6. He is such a cool character. Jeez. I've got one more thing Final Fantasy related to talk about in this, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Why don't we move on to something else I want to talk about? Another, the only other fighting game I've got in here, Mortal Kombat 11. And much like Kingdom Hearts 3, it changed its name for the DLC. Now it is officially Mortal Kombat 11 Aftermath. Okay, so with this, my big issue with Combat 11. Okay, let me start by saying this. I had actually purchased the first combo pack when it first came out. So when I did the review, and at the time, I think three of the characters had just been released. So let me get it up. But before then, I should mention when the game first came out, if you could get a card if you bought this game, if you didn't buy this game secondhand to play as Shao Kahn, and that was all right, I guess. I'm not Shao Kahn, but Shao Kahn isn't really my main of Mortal Kombat. I'm more Sub Zero, Kano, and I get Sub Zero and Kano are more my mains from Mortal Kombat. I just always like them more. But yeah, so the first DLC pack, at the very least, pack one, I should say, added the additional characters of Shang Tsung, Sindel, Nightwolf, and additional guest characters, Spawn, the Joker, and the Terminator. I played, honestly, I will admit, I enjoyed every one of the characters enough. Okay, I didn't play Sindel much, but I got a kick out of Shang Tsung, especially since he was played by none other than the guy who played him in the movie, in the original 95, in the 1995 movie. Yeah, Tagawa. He returned to play Shang Tsung, and they modeled him exactly after him. That's pretty cool. The other characters, I mean, the Joker. Well, I guess you can sort of say is the Joker the Arkham from the Injustice games. It's not actually, but Richard Epcar, who is the voice of Raiden, returned, who also voices the Joker in many Batman spin-off games when Mark Hamill's not available, returned also voiced him here, which makes sense. He's the voice of the Joker in the Arkham game, in not in the Arkham in the Injustice game, so that's pretty cool. I honestly got a kick out of Spawn, especially since this is, I guess, based on the 1990s animated series with Keith David returning to voice him, so that's great. And the Terminator, well, Schwarzenegger provided the likeness. It's not he didn't voice him. Instead, he got Chris Cox, who was handpicked by him. So I guess that counts. But I don't know if it's the same Terminator from if it's Schwarzenegger from Terminator Dark Fate, I expect to at least see Schwarzenegger. Cox is alright, and honestly, I find him a great character to play as. I can't say I enjoyed him that much. In terms of the after that, we got the Aftermath pack, which had Fujin, Shiva, and RoboCop. I know at the very least RoboCop was a big deal, especially since again Peter Weir returned to voice Peter Weller returned to play him, which okay is cool, but RoboCop is actually one of my least favorite characters. Got kicked out of Fujin though, and Combat Pack 2 had Melina, Rain, and my personal favorite, John Rambo, with Sylvester Stallone returning to voice him. Oh god, that was such a great thing to see Stallone return to play Rambo in Mortal Kombat. I had a good time with him, and probably my favorite of the guest characters, actually. I just love playing. I guess part of the reason is it actually is Stallone, but, I'm just saying. Sorry about that. But the biggest thing, of course, there was the Aftermath campaign, which, yeah, let's get on with it. So the basic premise for the story was after the B, after EB had set Liu Kang, Fire God Liu Kang defeated Cetrion. Oh, actually, well, I don't know whatever it was. I mean, Chronica, sorry. Cetrion is her daughter. He he tried with Raiden's help. He tries to set the timeline straight, but he can't because at this point, because it's revealed here that the canonical ending is the half good ending because the good ending involved Liu Kang finally reuniting with Katana, and they set this term to set the timeline right. This it sets up that he only beat Chronica once, so he was only able so he had to have Raiden help him out. But it doesn't end up working because he doesn't have the crown. All of a sudden, Shang Tsung, Fujin, and Nightwolf show up and tell him that because he destroyed the crown, he can't properly use the hourglass. So Shang Tsung elects they send the three of them back in time to, to retrieve the crown before they destroy it. And this is where things get insane. Honestly, when you look at, I know this came out the exact same. Okay, I don't know if the campaign came out the exact same year as Avengers Endgame, but wrapping up from that, this is what to do wrong with time travel. Oh my gosh. Okay, with some stuff like keeping secret and bringing back Sindel was a decent enough choice, but because of these actions that obviously that Shang Tsung's trying to obviously get the crown for himself because he designed the crown, or built it, I should say, it leads to decisions that I just can't stand. Like I love the original storyline from Mortal Kombat 11. I thought it was great. The Aftermath storyline just leaves me feeling so disappointed. I just can't like it. I'm sorry, I don't like it. There are some good moments, but then it's ruined by the fact that it's revealed Shao Kahn wasn't killed by Katana, and Sindel brings him back to destroy everything and kill and try and, ruin Liu Kang from becoming a fire god. My god, jeez. I'm sorry, and Shiva, I mean, I thought she was a good character. Well, Shiva was good in, honestly, the best character in, well-written character in the Aftermath storyline, but I couldn't give less. Yeah, I'm sorry, the Aftermath storyline was not good. I did not like it. It definitely ruined my praise for the original Mortal Kombat 11 storyline, which I did give a huge praise for in my original review. So yeah, I'm sorry, but I can't say I hated the Aftermath storyline. I'm sorry. If you liked it, that's great, but it's not for me. But with that said, what the gameplay aspects of Mortal Kombat 11 I enjoyed. It's great, so that's all good for me, and I'm happy I enjoyed that part of it.